John's here. Hi, John.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับ
Hi, John.
Hello, everybody.
Goedemorgen, good morning, good evening. Goedemorgen.
Hello, Jotica.
How are you, Jotica? Nina.
Hello, Thao.
John.
everyone.
Sarah's just having a problem getting a connection. She'll be with us in a minute. Okay, here she is.
Hello, everyone. Sawadika Ajan.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello,
Hi,
Nina.
Sarah.
Hi, everyone. So, John here. Okay, are we all ready to start? Do you have a topic to start with, Nina?
Oh, I
Can't
have
hear
a
you,
topic,
Nina.
but I'm sure home care will call me, but I can start. The last time or some time ago, Ayari brought a very good problem, very helpful, that the other person who is disagreeable is always situation, and the situation is the cause of my being disturbed. And this reminded me of my father, my old father, years ago. He always had a disagreeable remark to me when he saw me. And I kept on having problems with this. And Ajahn would explain, but I was not ready yet to accept the answer or understand the answer, that the craving is for another situation, and the problem is not the other person or the situation, but we are clinging to that one. Like seeing and hearing is the result of karma, and then we reject and think that the other person is the real cause. And I found Ayadi's remark such a eye-opener, such a reminder that we are going to cling to ourselves all the time. And all the time, the disturbance is really in ourselves. Why me? Why me? And Ajahn always had good answers, but I know that it takes a real long time before we are ready to really understand this. Yeah.
Yes, I remember one incident. We were at Gangrajam and you were talking quietly to Ajahn, but I was next to you, so I was listening, and you mentioned about some difficulties with your father and how you found it very disturbing. And Ajahn's reply was, "Is there seeing now?" That was it.
Always, yeah. She always answers that way, yeah.
Is there hearing now? And the point is that we think about what has happened to me and the situation and the problematic family member or friend and what they said. But there's always forgetting about the truth now. What about seeing at this very moment? What about understanding what appears right now? Otherwise, we just continue on and on and on through life to be lost in the story about this or that problem and forget all about what appears at this very moment. And I thought it was very helpful, very sobering. And just as you say, it depends whether we are ready to appreciate the comment. I mean, it's easier to appreciate it when it's being said to someone else, but when we're lost in the story of my problem and my difficulty, and we just are asked, is there seeing now? Not easy to just let go of the clinging to the story, even when it's an unpleasant story about the problems. Still, the clinging is so strong, thinking about it again and again and again. So it's not easy to just appreciate the truth at this moment, and for there to be the letting go of that.
And I realize
on
that
and on.
it takes so long before we are ready to understand this, what Ajahn explained.
And the point is, this is what the Buddha taught, just about the understanding of what life is at this very moment, just what is seen, the color, the visible object, just the seeing now, no one there at all, no one that experiences. And the only problem in life is the clinging and ignorance with regard to what appears right now at this moment. So it's a good reminder for everyone.
And Ajahn also says, we can repeat seeing sees, but this is not enough, she said. Then you don't have enough understanding. So it's very good if Ajahn talks more about seeing sees.
And just before Ajahn does talk, yes, Nina, what you say is quite right. But even if we do understand that it's not the situation, it's our reaction that's the problem, it doesn't mean that problem is solved, because if there is that accumulated tendency to react, in other words, if one is a person who is sensitive to criticism, for example, then that tendency is going to be prompted to occur whenever there is criticism again. And there can't always be understanding when that situation occurs. So it's slowly, and no sort of quick fix. I think in the teachings, the Buddha mentions many times that one of the excellent qualities of the disciple who is able to make progress in the teaching is the person who is easy to admonish. And this is the opposite quality of being sensitive to criticism. But the person is happy to accept correction, of course, in our everyday situation, we're not talking about being corrected, but we're talking about the similar corresponding situation of being subject to critical remarks or thoughts. Yeah.
So easy to fall back into our old habits, even when
absolutely, yeah.
Events. Yeah.
This is just what I needed to hear today, because I'm so upset about the situation in Gaza and so forth. And so this is a very good reminder for me. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very helpful to hear a remark like that. Yeah.
But does it mean that we can work together with everybody?
How do you mean you ought to go work together with everybody?
But there is no everybody, and there is no working together with other persons in the absolute sense. So when we understand the absolute sense, it's only chitta, cetasika, and rupa just for a moment, very short moment, and then gone. And that helps us a lot.
And
Yes, there's
Jyotika,
there's also a conventional reality.
yes, what do you have in mind there, Jyotika, when you talk about working together with everybody?
That I have a difficult relation with someone, a colleague, and then and is always the end to get this relation better, to that I work on myself, that I work here on this side. You know,
I
sometimes
don't think of it as working on oneself. I think we could say the answer is always more kusala rather than akusala. It might sound self-obvious, but when there is a difficult relationship with another person, one doesn't necessarily have to think of it as being something to be resolved immediately, but life goes on and one can remember that the best reaction is always the kusala one, metta, karuna, rather than unwholesome thoughts.
And also that it is gone already in a very short moment. Each moment in life is so very, very short. So there's really no time to work upon oneself, because then we think of a long moment, and that is not the real reality.
If the other person is determined not to get along with us, then there's nothing can be done about that, is there?
it looks so irreal to me. It looks okay. This let it. I don't know. Then
the Buddha had his critics, Jyotika.
yeah, he had how to work together. I think to some people cannot work together. They are just working alone on themselves and have no idea that they are working together with other people. And then sometimes you have to say better that you start for yourself or that you leave. Yeah.
And there can be more understanding that everyone has their own accumulations, their own habits, their own tendencies.
Yeah,
and just like we find it difficult to get on with everyone, so do others. And the point Jonathan made earlier about the Buddha praising those who are easy to admonish, which is the opposite of being sensitive to criticism. I think mana plays a big role. When there is mana, when there is conceit, then it's like Nina said, or why me, and why is he admonishing me? And it's the opposite of being easy to admonish. So it all comes back to this moment. But as Jonathan said, it doesn't mean that, we will get on easily with everyone and there will be no issues in life, but understanding the truth about this moment is the only way.
It's the only way.
And I think Nina was asking Ajahn to add some more comments as well.
Okay. Let's work with the other. Let's to say, let's to think, let's to like, let's to dislike, or also master by conditions. So what about live to eat, live to see, live to work with the other, and live to understand the truth of that which is now appearing? just adding more point in life, not just live to eat or live to work with the others or whatever comes, but just what about now? It's time to live to understand the subtlety of what is there, which is so subtle, because even it's there, it's not known the truth of it as it is at all. But it can be moment of developing, understanding the truth, just like live to eat, to live to understand what is there when time comes like now. So nothing to do, nothing to hope for or wish, because they are all there by conditions. So whatever is there is all conditioned. So what is there now can be object of understanding of the truth of the world, of life, of everything, because it's there all the time from moment to moment. Just understanding. It doesn't matter how much is there, understanding of what is there now. So each moment in life is a test of understanding of the truth. So now there is seeing, it's time to understand the subtlety of seeing, because what should be known or developed in one's life is understanding of the truth. When time comes, when conditions for this very moment to develop or to understand a little more of that which is now, that which is seen in truth, not as it is, because it seems to be object like flowers, curtain, and so on. But in truth, it's only that which can be seen. So have more understanding of the truth, little by little, that's all. And understanding works its way, not forgetting what is said when there are conditions for it to understand what is there gradually, so very gradually in a day. Be truthful to the truth. How much understanding of that which has been heard, which is seen now. But the truth is that a little more understanding of the truth, it can develop to the moment of letting go ignorance and taking it for something like I or someone or work or whatever is there, just to understand. That's all. And understanding grows little by little at moment of understanding. And the moment of understanding is the path leading to realize the truth that we are talking about. Seeing is there already by condition, it's not hearing. So at moment of hearing, there's no seeing. Be truthful to the truth, so true. They cannot be seeing and hearing together at the same time. So now, what is that? It's learned little by little. No intention to try so hard to letting go or ignorance and attachment and misunderstanding that is something. That's all. When time comes, because no one can stop the arising and falling of each moment now, as it has been conditioned to be years and years ago, and more years ahead. But the understanding can develop gradually until it can understand a little more. And the moment of understanding a little more, it letting go wrong understanding at level of intellectual understanding, because it's not yet the direct understanding of just one reality as it is now. But there must be conditions for that moment. But it has to be understanding, developed with the support of all kinds of kusala, because moment of akusala cannot understand what is there as it is. That's all. Just kusala moments at moment of understanding what is there as it is. It's that way to let go the idea of self, because what is there is beginning to be the object of awareness and understanding gradually, little by little. Who knows how much a knife or a handle of knife wants away at moment of each moment of touching it. How long? That's all. And this is true. So understanding and hearing about what is there, little by little. And then life goes on, working with the other and so on. And then understanding a little more of the truth of this moment. It depends on conditions, how many moments of understanding and how many moments of seeing, hearing, touching, liking, and so on. Naturally, because all are dhammas, nothing can be taken for something or someone at all. It's there, seen, that's all. It's there, heard, that's all. It's their touch, it's their seeing, it's their hearing, and so on. Very natural, all are dhammas. So be truthful to each word, all are dhammas, all realities. What is there appearing is dhamma, a reality, that's all. And we can learn a little bit more to have letting go of ignorance, which condition attachment to the idea of something and self all the time. So right understanding can understand what is moment of understanding and what is moment of no understanding or ignorance of that which sees, hears, thinks, and so on. In life, from life to life, non-stop. As long as there are conditions for ignorance to arise, it's there. As long as there are conditions for understanding to arise, it's there by conditions. That's why live to understand the truth and also live to eat, to see, to hear, to work. Different moments. From birth to death, from life to life. Can anyone change the truth? Because in truth, there's no one at all. No thing at all. It's not just to repeat, but to understand the truth. Seeing is gone. Thinking is gone. What is seen is gone. Everything is gone. And that is so true that it can be realized when there are times to consider it, to think over it, to read about it, and so on. Develops from moment to moment, gradually, little by little. And daily life is a test of understanding. What level is there? Is it that moment, direct understanding? Sati, understanding what is there is not seeing, but it's a reality which is survived by memory from hearing and considering and understanding that this moment is the object of understanding of its truth. By having such understanding with awareness at moment of attention to the characteristic, but understanding is there. So it's there not just like any moment of attention to the characteristic of a reality as something in a day, but it's moment of attending by being aware of a characteristic which is there as just is there at that very moment and gone, never to arise again. And this is life in split seconds, on and on and on, non-stop, as long as there are conditions for whatever arises. It's there now, arising. It's there now, arising in truth, but the arising is not yet realized. But when there is more and more understanding of more and more characteristic, at moment of understanding, this characteristic is gone, and the next one arises. Little by little, it can be directly known until it's so clear when there's no attachment to the idea of self at all at that very moment. And understanding the difference between different characteristic of the reality which arises by conditions in a day. That's why we learn to understand that what are there? It's not just one characteristic which experience the object, but there are many characteristics of reality which experiences the object by its own way, by its own characteristic arising together right now. At moment of seeing, what appears? There's feeling, there's memory, there's attention, there is cetana and manasikara and other cetasika. All depends on what is there appearing can be known. So live to eat, work, and understanding the truth of what is there by conditions. From life to life until what is there more, a little more, or a little less and less and less, or by conditions. To understand the subtlety of this moment, it's so subtle. There are so many realities there, one after another appearing unknown. After seeing, there's attachment, taking it for something, like it more or less, by conditions, and then form. Each moment never lasts at all. And this understanding can condition a little more confidence of the truth. Until it's so true, it doesn't matter what is there. There is awareness, right understanding or not, all depends on conditions. It has to reach that degree of letting go, the idea of clinging, to think or to understand what is there, to doubt and so on. So natural like now, the test of understanding. And right understanding is very truthful. It knows how deep it is, how subtle it is, how long it will develop to the degree that there can be a moment of direct understanding. At the beginning, it's not clear, it's not strong, it's not sharp. But when there is more and more from moment to moment, no expectation, Khanti Parami is there, not to do anything. And that is conditioned for direct understanding, to understand. Who knows? We think that, oh, it's so long, where it's so, it cannot be realized suddenly. And that is the understanding of letting go. But be truthful, whether there is the lurking of desire or attachment at that very moment or not. And at moment of very, very slight attachment can be known by panya. Otherwise, it cannot eradicate the wrong understanding with attachment and ignorance. The way it develops is so very subtle as well. And panya develop little by little before it can reach the higher level, different degrees. But have confidence of the truth. If to understand even a little more from time to time of the truth of what is there is the only way to let go of the idea of self. Very subtle, so very subtle, little by little. Like this moment, who knows how much of a little more understanding of that is there and gone. It's not great enough, it's not keen enough to realize, but it's there developing. So life is as usual. Live to eat, to see, to hear, to think, to work, to understand the truth. By conditions. And without considering, hearing, even just one word of the teaching. Dhamma, realities, anatta, no one. So now, what is there is real, it's a reality. It has reason, but it's not known until it's time. At moment of seeing, it's there. And right understanding, not cetana to try to work so hard to understanding it, but to begin to understand little by little by conditions, whether it is attending to the characteristic of what appears, or it's just thinking about it, or it's just not forgetting. They can be thinking in such a way by conditions about life, about seeing, until no thinking, no thought about it, no thinking, but it's there. Beginning to understand it very gradually, very subtly. Unknown. So subtle as asava, unknown now. But it's there. No matter seeing, sitting, lying, talking, asava is there. After seeing 3 moments.
And I think it's very important what Ajahn says about life going on as normal, as usual. Yeah, it's not part of the development of the path that there should be drastic changes in one's life. And if life does go on as normal, then there are the usual ups and downs, ins and outs, situations, disagreeable people, people who are difficult to get on with, and all the same as before one heard the Dhamma. The difference is that there are some moments or some level of understanding and appreciating the true nature of life as it really is. And with the development of the path, life doesn't change, but it is gradually seen as being less and less something that's desirable, and there's less and less clinging to the idea of further existence and so on. That's all.
And Jyotika, when there is the idea of working on oneself, isn't this the opposite of what Ajahn was talking about, the letting go of the idea of self? Usually when people think of working on themselves, they think of trying to have less dosa, trying to have more kindness, trying to have more compassion. But we don't realize that it's all motivated by clinging to I being a better person. So it's actually the opposite of letting go of the idea of I and understanding and accepting whatever is conditioned at this moment.
Yeah.
So the point is, it's not
Yes,
I
yes,
trying to do something,
No.
or I trying to change what is conditioned, but just letting go the I that tries and wants and wishes to be a certain way, and just understanding what appears now. Like in the example Nina gave at the beginning, we would like not to react and not to be upset and not to be disturbed by the criticism, but this is all just I wanting it to be another way. The truth is, there is upset, there is disturbance, there is seeing, there is hearing. So whatever arises is conditioned. And in truth, it doesn't belong to you or Nina or me or anyone. And whatever arises is gone instantly. So this is why understanding is the only way, and the letting go of the idea of I, of self.
We like to react less in an unfavorable way. And that is not possible. That's again improving oneself. And that's again thinking of self instead of whatever comes, whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
I could. Yeah.
And at those moments of trying not to react or thinking of oneself, at those moments, there's no understanding, there's no metta, there's no generosity, there's no kusala of any kind, because it's all about I and my problem, my issue.
Yeah. And then we forget conditions, that it is all by conditions, that this or that happens, or the way we react is also by conditions.
And it also doesn't last. It's just a moment of being upset and disturbed, and then it's gone. Like Betty talked about being upset about the Gaza situation. But what about now? No upset at this moment. So it's just what is conditioned to arise when thinking about that situation. And now when thinking about the truth or the reality now, no upset at all. So it's just for a moment by conditions and then gone. Nothing lasts at all. And that's why the understanding of the truth is the only medicine for all the problems in life. Otherwise, there's just one situation after another that we're disturbed and upset about because of the clinging and ignorance.
It's also that we forget that thinking of a situation is not the absolute reality. To know the difference between the absolute momentary reality, which is immediately gone, and the situation in daily life we think that lasts, but that is also not the absolute reality, it's different. So we forget the difference.
Yes, well said, Nina. Betty, do you have any other comments? Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah.
Suppose there's the conditions are confronting a person who hates you so much they're intent on killing you.
Sorry, I missed the question. How?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have it on the mic. Suppose conditions there arise for some other person to confront you because they're so they hate you so much they're intent on killing you.
So it just depends on that moment, like this moment, what is conditioned to arise. Maybe anger, maybe kindness, maybe. So it's not a question. We all know that the wholesome way is understanding and metta and so on, but it just depends on conditions right then, just like now, as to what arises. And understanding can only understand what appears now. Like now in the middle of a Dhamma discussion, there may be a loud noise and there may be annoyance or disturbance, but it's just conditioned. And
Oh yeah, I
there
know.
may or may not be understanding and it's gone. And it's the same at any other time. Like Ajahn said, the test is always at this very moment. So now thinking about what would I do in that situation, the reality now is the thinking about that story. So here and now, there can be understanding of the thinking with worry, thinking with doubt, thinking with kindness. So it always comes back to this very moment.
Also about the teachings of anatta, we about the truth of anatta is it helps to see the reality of the present moment as not the situation and not the people, not the person, not the thing, and this kind of understanding is, I think, paradoxically, it helps to deal with the situation, with people, with different people, with people we like, people we don't like, and because understanding the truth helps understanding that there is no people, no thing, and as I say, it sounds like a paradox because of the idea of anatta is like something one cringe, one doesn't easily go along with, because it seems like it's taking something from us, like our own self. But I think the teachings are so beautiful because of allowing to see the truth and to appreciate even the present moment as even it's maybe not as one would like to be, but it's not really something one can cling on. One can cling on because it's not something which stays. It's not something which we can rely on because it's only in thinking, and that's that's why it's so difficult and so subtle, and go against the current of attachment and ideas and situations. But it works this way. It helps. It's the truth. So why not listen to it? Why not consider it? Why not think about it?
Yes, good points. And there can be more and more confidence that at any time, in any situation like the one Betty mentioned, there are just experiences through 6 doors. So like now, there is just hearing of sound, seeing of visible object, and so on, and thinking about the sound, thinking about the ideas, thinking about the terrorists, thinking about this and that. So just 6 doorways, just like now, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking all day long, anytime. So more understanding, more confidence that the truth is always the truth now, in the Buddha's time, in this or that situation. And the real problems all come back to the thinking with ignorance, thinking of attachment, thinking with aversion. No one there at all, no one here at all. Just as Alberto was stressing. Is it helpful, Betty? Helpful to be reminded more about this moment?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was
But you know, the problem is when you're facing it, all the teachings fall out, go out the window. You know, you're not thinking of the teaching. But I understand that that just indicates more understanding is needed. But
That's why there has to be more considering, more listening, more understanding, because like you say, otherwise one's just in one's fantasy world again and again and again most of the time. Go ahead, Nina.
so long before we really understand. When I was beginning to understand years and years ago, I understood nothing really. And then little by little, a little more understanding, but still falling back into old habits again.
Because those accumulations, the accumulations that we all have, the accumulations of ignorance, the accumulations of clinging, the accumulations of wrong view, are just so very deeply embedded and have been for aeons and aeons and aeons. So of course it has to be slow, gradual path, not minding, not clinging to any quick results, no expectations, just a little understanding here and now, that's all.
Yeah, and when we listen to the teachings, we also consider the truth, and it's the way it's how it works. It's the voice of the voice of the Buddha, the voice of understanding of Panya, which is the condition for thinking about it, for understanding. It's even intellectually. I mean, it's the first step. It's the intellectual understanding, the considering, the following of what has been heard, and the thinking goes along with what has been heard at even just at the moment of hearing it, because conditions are so much. There's so much condition for ignorance and for attachment and for aversion. But we know that. But what really matters is the condition for understanding more, condition for Panya, which we can't deny. I mean, they are there, as they are there, the condition for attachment and ignorance. So there are also conditions for understanding, and that's the good news, I think. The good news for all of us.
And Mom Betty, I was just thinking about what you were saying about understanding going out the window, and Alberto's just alluded to that sometimes there are just not the conditions for understanding and of Dhamma at any particular level. There is just conditions for ignorance and attachment. So yes, we can say our understanding goes out the window. That's, excuse me, there's a dog
What
there.
I mean is that there actually what you're saying is exactly what I meant by is you know, the mind is so settled, is so concentrating on other realities that there's no conditions for understanding to arise at such a moment. There's such a feeling of other feelings are arising, which are preventing understanding. Dosa, of course, all kinds of other kinds of rakusala are all arising at such a moment, and that prevents them.
Yeah, well, we certainly can say that. You know, there is different levels of attachment and ignorance that are arising all the time. So it precludes, that will preclude any understanding to arise. But the more we listen, as Sarah has alluded to just a moment ago, the more, and Alberto, the more we can appreciate Dhamma as it really is. You know, we're mostly carrying around all these stories that are just that, stories that, you know, about whoever, you know, Israelis or Palestinians or whatever, they're just stories. And the more we can appreciate that and perhaps have some understanding that there's going to be a lot of attachment sometimes, especially from that part of the world. And of course, a lot of aversion. That's just normal, unfortunately. But the more we can consider carefully the Dhamma, the truth of this present moment, which is so easy to gloss over because of ignorance again, and we can begin to see that the more there's understanding, you know, and appreciation of the truth is always available to us, as Alberto was just saying. It's there in a sense, that there's the truth there. That's all there is in some respects, but our understanding and appreciation of it is sometimes so fragile that it's forgotten about, or it's not appreciated or not understood. So the more we can consider it carefully and again and again and again, then there's not going to be, unless we do that, there's not going to be conditions for more understanding. The more we can consider carefully, the more understanding there can be. But as I said, and as you kind of alluded to, you know, our attachments and our different levels of ignorance get in the way.
Because also it's life gets really simpler because visible object is visible object. Can be news on TV, can be Dhamma discussion on Zoom. And the reality is the same. It's the hearing the truth, which is different when listening to a jhana or to when listening to the truth. We listen to the words like we listen when we hear the news. We listen to the words and but these are not the words of truth for sure. Words of dosa, words of sure not kusala words. And so why I don't say why listening to it because they are just words, but why believing them as they would be the truth. I don't think that it's can be taken for any kind for truth as in the as when hearing about visible object or sound. Is the truth just in the sense that it makes us think about this, it makes us think about that, but that's it. We lose. We are lost in thinking. We lose contact with the reality, with the truth. So not much use to think about it, I think.
But I think it's not thinking in words, but reality now is the truth, to understand reality now, but no need to name it or to use words.
Yes, it's a good point, Nina. Seeing now is seeing, no matter what it's called or not called, when there's understanding of the reality that just sees at this very moment. No naming, no word, no idea about it. It's just what appears at that moment. Just like the color now that is seen, or the sound that is heard, just that which appears. No thinking about it. Sita, do you have anything you would like to ask about today? I remember last time one of the points you asked about was about khandhas, for example. Any questions about khandhas or any other topic?
Thank you, Sarah. 2 weeks ago or some time ago, Alan was talking about burden. Then I was considering, actually, correct me if I'm wrong, the understanding, the sense spheres, they are actually a burden. Am I correct? Like the eyes, the nose, they are clinging to something.
Yeah,
We could actually say what a, go ahead, Nina.
Jonathan mentions that you put a burden upon yourself by clinging to self.
Yes. Yes,
So
yeah.
sometimes we refer to the burden of clinging, the burden of ignorance, but in the deepest sense, whatever arises and falls away is a burden. So even the first moment of life is a burden, and every chitta that follows, every reality that arises and falls away, because it's dukkha, it's unsatisfactory, it falls away, but it's the object of clinging again and again. So whatever arises in samsara is a burden. It's gone instantly, but it's followed by clinging again and again.
Thank you.
So the burden is now
Yes, yes, yes.
clinging to the seeing, the hearing, the thinking.
Inclusive
goodness.
feelings. Inclusive feelings is also a
Yes,
burden.
clinging all day to pleasant feeling, not wishing to have unpleasant feeling. So when someone speaks harshly or one reads about the news one doesn't like and there's unpleasant feeling, everyone would like to get rid of the unpleasant feeling, but it has to arise by conditions. The pleasant feeling can only last for a moment, and then there's bound to be unpleasant feeling again and again. all through life.
Oh,
So
thank
we
you.
can see that whatever arises is a burden, the object of pleasant feeling, the object of unpleasant feeling, but each one is gone instantly.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Each khandha, so khandha is whatever arises and falls away. The seeing is a khandha, the hearing is a khandha, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, sound, visible object. So every khandha is unsatisfactory, it is dangerous, it is a burden. And yet there's clinging to it again and again and again. So life is a burden, and life is actually just this very moment.
And that what we understand as dukkha, né?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Even right now, even the moment of understanding is dukkha. It's
Yes,
gone instantly.
thank
Even
you.
like when Jyotika was talking about working oneself, but even if the metta arises now, it's dukkha because it's gone instantly, and there's clinging, wishing to have it again and again. So whatever arises is dukkha. This is why the path is the letting go of clinging to what has arisen and what has gone, clinging to oneself.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Also the a feeling that I cannot come in contact with it this morning is also
Because-
a burden.
Because is there any I to come into contact with anything, or are we just looking for the I to come into contact?
It's
Always-
nothing is working.
Yeah, because no I to control anything. No I to make it as one would like, no I to make pleasant feeling arise at will, no I to make metta arise when we hear something unpleasant, no I to do anything.
Yeah.
And clinging to the idea of I, taking it for existing, is a very, very big burden, the biggest burden.
And when we say nothing is working, what we actually mean is things aren't happening the way I want them to.
Yeah.
As though we should be surprised at that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Everything happens by conditions, not
Yeah, it
by
happens by
exercise of
conditions.
willpower. Yeah.
It happens by conditions, but then that's the end. Nothing more to say.
Well, there is more to say because it's not just a platitude, it's a description of the way things are in reality. And the point is that even if we can repeat that, there isn't yet the understanding, the true understanding by direct experiencing of the truth of that description. So that's why just appreciating that that was how the Buddha taught the way things to be doesn't mean that life gets any easier.
But then there is nothing else than just to stay with the uneasiness. I feel.
There's more to consider because there was more that the Buddha said about what is the reality of the present moment and what is there that hasn't yet been understood, what is there that is capable of being better understood, and what is actually to be understood about realities that appear. We are inclined to think that understanding is supposed to make life easier for us. But really, the purpose of the understanding is to see the true nature of existence in samsara,
It's true.
which eventually is, which ultimately is not something to be desired, to be wished for. But we are a long, long way from appreciating the truth of that statement.
When we say it arises by conditions and that's the end of the topic, but what is it? Without discussing more about different realities, it's just the idea about different situations again. So there has to be more understanding of what it is now, the reality now. For example, uneasiness now. What is uneasiness now? We think of it as my uneasiness, but what is the reality of uneasiness? If we don't...
There is uneasy feeling.
And what is uneasy feeling? Is it unpleasant feeling or is it
It's unpleasant.
dosa?
It's
Unpleasant feeling with dosa, which accompanies the thinking about this or that story, this or that situation. So it's just for a moment, and it's just that reality, the unpleasant feeling for a moment, the dosa that it arises with for a moment, and then gone. But so quickly there's the idea of my uneasiness or my uneasy feeling or my experience. So that's why we have to consider a little more about each reality. And without clinging to the pleasant feeling, would there be the uneasy feeling when it's not the way we would like it to be?
There's no connection today. So strange.
Always back to the truth now, yes. And we have to hear and consider more about these different realities for there to be a little more letting go of the idea of I and my experience and myself to work on.
And then maybe the idea of here I am, and here is my uneasiness, and what should I do? And that is not so helpful to think of something separate. I am here, and here is my uneasiness, because we learn from Ajahn all the time. There is no I, so it means there can be uneasy feeling, but no thinking of the self who has it.
There is no I, but there can be an easy feeling, is it?
Yeah, yes. So what should one do? Nothing, because nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
No
Nothing
one
to
do anything. That's what we learn. And it means so harsh. It sounds so harsh. There is no one anything. And then we may find that difficult to accept.
Yeah.
And what about now, Yotika? Is there an easy feeling now?
It's still an
Pleasant
uneasy feeling. It's very
Sorry?
uneasy feeling. It's uneasy feeling. Like
And does it last or is it
like
just for a
something
moment?
like, I don't know, maybe it's like no end, kind of hopeless. Yeah.
And when there's the idea of hopelessness, is that feeling or is that thinking?
Tell me a story.
Thinking about hopeless, thinking about
Is it
no
hopeless?
use.
Is it hopeless? Is it thinking? Is it It is thinking, of course, I think.
Yes. So even now there can be thinking about hopeless, but it's just a moment of thinking. There can be understanding right now that it's just a Dhamma. It's not I that is hopeless,
Yeah.
or the feeling that is hopeless. It's just a moment of thinking and then gone.
Yeah.
And when there's no thinking about hopeless, when there's thinking about something else, where's the hopeless? So it's just at that moment of thinking and then
That's
gone.
helpful. That's helpful because we may be disturbed about hopeless, but when we know it's only a moment of thinking, there's less hopelessness.
It's okay. It's all words to me. All words and words and words.
It's-
Yeah.
It takes
And it's
really
also
hard
aversion. It's also aversion.
because
Yeah.
it takes the patience and all the perfections to have more understanding. If we forget the perfections,
Cool. Cool. Yeah.
that's why Ajahn reminds us all the time about patience and all the perfections, determination,
Yes.
energy, and all the other perfections are so helpful. So no reason to be hopeless.
I think it's very inspiring and encouraging just to appreciate for a moment that these are all just different dharmas that arise and fall
Yeah.
away, not in
Yeah.
anyone's control, no one to do anything. And it's just the way it is. Thinking with hopelessness, unpleasant feeling, pleasant feeling, just life following on, flowing on, different dharmas arising and falling away. So it's encouraging because nothing to be done at all. Just live naturally and let the understanding work its way
It will
very
fall away.
naturally. Yes.
Yeah.
Naturally and cheerfully. Yes.
But I can understand that one may feel like a cold shower when people say there is nothing to be hopeless about. So it can be difficult to accept. I understand that.
Because of the habits and the accumulations and thinking like that. But when one appreciates that what one feels hopeless about is just sound that is heard or just visible object that's seen and gone instantly, one appreciates it's the only problem is just the habit of thinking like that. But actually, why does one feel hopeless about the sound that's heard or the hardness that's touched?
Yes, maybe it is the sound. I don't know. It's just a thing. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is. It is. Maybe. Maybe it is. I have all the time the picture of that the people in Israel, that they cannot talk with each other, that they cannot get an opening.
Yeah.
This is like Betty's topic. So, and as Jonathan said, of course, there's bound to be disturbance. Of course, one's bound to be upset at times about this or that. But the Dharma is the best medicine because one can appreciate that life is just now at this moment of seeing, this moment of hearing, this moment of thinking.
Is there anything to do? Is there anything to do for us? Is there still a power of thought?
I can like that. because I look back at the years and years ago with my father, and then I also thought, there's nothing I can do. And then I realized it takes so long before we are ready for it, because we may not always be ready to hear this, that there is no one and nothing one can do. We may not be ready yet. And it takes ages for me. It took ages before I began to understand. And that was why the remark of our friend was so helpful, to realize that it can be so difficult to accept. And then we can understand for others too, that they hear nothing we can do, and that it can be so difficult to hear this.
Is the explanation only the same thing? It is because of conditions.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you, Jyotika. Hello,
Yeah.
Jyotika. Before you heard that everything is conditioned and there isn't anything that can be done, was life better for you?
No, I don't think so. Sometimes I was difficult, sometimes okay. Very often also easy, but not really easy.
Right. Well, let me ask another question. Since you've
It
heard the
seems
teaching
so.
about everything
cannot make,
being conditioned,
I cannot make contact. I cannot come in contact with the words and the talk, and I cannot come in contact
Video.
this morning.
Video.
We should understand that it can be moments so difficult to hear this, and that it takes quite a while before
I have contact with someone, with a friend in Jerusalem, but it is just not knowing what to say. I sent, but it seems like going in the story, but I don't want to go in the story.
Can I tell you a story? May I tell you a story, Jyotika? I have a number of Israeli friends here in Bangkok. And one friend had relative before the outbreak of the situation. Of course, I'm talking about the situation.
I don't understand.
Okay, friends were visiting her, so they wanted to go to the Grand Palace. So I arranged for them to go, and then the outbreak of everything happened. I said to them, "Do you still want to go? Because I understand you're upset." They said yes. And then the next day after we went, the son had to return to Israel to go to the army, and they don't know when they're going to see their son again. So everything, all the situations are dependent on understanding the moment. That's how we can deal. It's the only way to deal with these situations that create sadness. We realize, there's metta for these people, or there's sadness of their situation, considering this, thinking about their situation. But that is the way everything works. That is the way Dhamma works. That is the way Dhamma works. That's the way everything works, whether it's for us or, or for anyone else. And the only thing we can do is when we're feeling sad for other people, we're having feelings of metta, or we'd like to help other people. The only thing we can rely on is the Dhamma, what is arising at that moment, and how we can behave to them with metta, karuna, upekha, or mudita. Any of those, the four Brahma Viharas.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time now, so perhaps Ajahn would like to add some comments too.
May I ask, what's your hope?
What is my hope?
Yes.
Sasha?
Yeah, what's your hope?
My hope is that there is an opening for peace.
Can you do anything, or can someone do anything? Or
I
no one
thought
can do
about
anything?
sending metta,
So at this,
sending good wishes, but I feel like in this here I do not. There's only
uh,
nothing with thoughts. Eh? It's just with behavior.
is the hope dukkha?
Is hope dukkha? No hope.
No hope, no dukkha. But when it's hope, it's dukkha, isn't it?
Is the hope dukkha? Yeah, maybe yes, the hope is dukkha.
Did Buddha want anyone to have dukkha?
No.
So he thought about what is dukkha and what is the very, very dangerous, because some would like to have pleasant situation instead of unpleasant situation. But at moment of having unpleasant situation, is it dukkha?
Unpleasant situation, yeah, is dukkha, yeah.
And what about the pleasant
But if I really
or the
can,
pleasant situation? Is it dukkha as well? Or is it not dukkha? At moment of having pleasant situation, is it dukkha or is it no dukkha?
yeah, in theory it is dukkha.
See, that's why what is more dangerous? What is more dukkha? It's time to consider the truth. No one wants to be in unpleasant situation. Everyone
No.
wishes to have pleasant situation. But what is dukkha? What is more dukkha? At moment of being in that unpleasant situation, it seems so very, very dukkha. But one would like to be in pleasant situation without knowing that it's very, very dukkha. Because one gets stuck. One is bounded with attachment, aversion, just want it again to be such and such. Why did Buddha thought about the truth? No one can do anything. No one can change the other, no matter it's so evil or so very good. But what is there now? At the moment of thinking about unpleasant situation, it's there, not far away at all. Without it, there is no dukkha, thinking about such unpleasant situation. So what is there? Not outside or at that point of the world or whatever. It's there at moment of thinking only. When you don't think about the unpleasant or the bad situation, it's not dukkha. It seems like that. And you enjoy moment of having pleasant situation. But at that moment, it's so dangerous because it's so poisonous, because it's there, like alcohol or whatever, just drunk. So what is there? No understanding of no one can do anything. You cannot change the other, but right understanding only can change you and the other or anyone who understand the truth. The more you try to help them, but they don't understand the truth, no one can help them to be out of the dukkha at all. There must be dukkha, not from this, it has to be from that. Not now, it has to be then, in the future, and on, endlessly, because no understanding of what is conditions for dukkha. At moment of no thinking about such situation, no dukkha. So dukkha is moment of thinking about unpleasant situation. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the hope is to have present situation, to be drunk, to have never end present situation at all, from moment to moment. And what is that? Everyone wishes to have pleasant moment, but the unpleasant comes to be true by conditions. So how to cure, how to treat, how to have less, understanding that nothing can be done, only one's own understanding. As long as they fight with no understanding, and when they don't fight with no understanding, their conditions to fight again and again and again. Like now, there is condition to wish, to hope for something without understanding of what is hoped is gone. Each moment, this moment is not last moment, it's not the next moment. And what is there? When it's right understanding, it does not hurt, it does not harm at all. It understands the truth. Actually, no one, only the kusala kamma or akusala kamma. And who can do kusala kamma for the other? Each has to do or to understand by oneself. That's why the best thing is, no matter in any situation, even one is hurt, there can be the understanding, the best medicine to understand what is there just in a moment, so short. No one can control. Everyone doesn't like to have such situation, but it's there by conditions. So the kusala kamma does not bring that unpleasant situation, and the akusala kamma cannot condition the present situation. That's why when one knows the condition for the pleasant situation or unpleasant situation, there can be moment of doing good. But the best thing is not just doing good, to understand the truth. Because as long as there is ignorance, no one can stop the moment of attachment to the self of people and situation at all. Endlessly, just hope and try to help. But the truth is that the best help is understanding the truth, so it can condition such not unpleasant feeling as now. Otherwise, when it's there now, stop, and then it can arise again, and then stop again, and then arise again, endlessly. So the best thing is that no one can have the other understanding. They have to learn to consider the truth, to understand more and more about the dukkha, the ultimate dukkha, the moment of what is now arising and falling away. No one, no Israel, no situation at all. It's just a moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and then thinking. See, no matter in what world, deva or human being in world or whatever, only 6 ways by conditions. So what is the hope? See, if we don't know, we still hope. But what is hope? Buddha taught everything in every situation to understand the truth, because the truth is only 6 ways of experiencing an object. If there's no thinking about Israel or Palestine or whatever, but thinking about understanding what is there, to know that it's just that which is conditioned to be seen, to be heard, to be thought about, that's all. So understanding the truth in any situation is the best thing in life, because it is the best medicine to cure all situation. And people just think about the pleasant situation. But what about the present one? They don't see the danger of being drunk, of having such and such present object, on and on and on, endlessly. Is it true? Just learn to understand the truth of what is there, which is real, as much as there can be conditioned to understand it, because it can be understood deeper and deeper and deeper to understand just one reality a little more, and then understand another reality, many, many realities, so there can be moments of directly understand one characteristic of a reality by anotherness. It's there by condition, pop up or arise and then fall away, but it's not clear. Now we know that before seeing, there is no seeing. Before thinking about the Israel, no thought about that at all. And then the conditions for such different moments by conditions, and then gone, never last at all. No one can do anything. Understanding this, the best thing to help the other is to help them or have the words for them to think about the truth, to understand what is there at the moment of being hurt. It's there by conditions. Better than just cry or try to help them to get away from such a situation without any understanding of the truth. And this is the great compassion of the Buddha for everyone, not just in such situation, because whatever is there, not only the situation is dangerous when there's no understanding, it harms. So you begin to understand at moment of thinking about Israel, it harms. Who? Right then, at moment of thinking only. So there are many kinds of harmful reality to be known at any moment. So the ultimate dukkha or harm or harmful is whatever arises falls away, no matter in the battle or no matter in the peace or no matter in the pleasant garden, so on. The truth is the truth. Is it better to understand the truth than thinking more about that without any understanding of what is that, which is harmful? The thought about that is harmful. The thought about wanting the other thing to be or to come is harmful. Even clinging to the situation or what is there as something in someone is harmful too. Because in truth, no one at all. Only different greed or hate or whatever is there conditioned to be slight or strong by conditions. And no one can do anything. But now what is taken for I is there to be known that actually it's not I. When it's not I, it's not Israel, it's not Palestine, it's not anyone or anything at all. Oh, the time has come. สวัสดีค่ะ
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
Thank you very much.
อาจารย์